Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates. The Earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the Earth now. The solar wind is also
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here that is joining us tonight. As we are going to start this program tonight, everybody please rise. We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance and hear the nation's national anthem sung to us. Everybody please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
artist right there.
America's finest. The United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The host of the convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the national anthem, like I said, was sung by the Barbershop Quartet from the United States Army. God bless our servicemen and women around the world. God bless them, and may they all return home safely to their homes after their tours of duty end. And that goes for our allied forces as well. God bless them all, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it. Folks, we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. As we talked about this morning, we're going to again talk about Mount Hood. There are 26 earthquakes that have hit Mount Hood, and they're still hitting. There are earthquakes still hitting Mount Hood. This is not over. It really is not over. Folks, as you can see from this satellite shot, the earthquakes are hitting on the southern side of Mount Hood, except for two strays over on the north end and one over on the western end. It's still in the very high foothills of Mount Hood. Folks, this is from magma within the volcano. Every one of these earthquakes and tremors are from anywhere from a mile and a half to 2 miles deep. Okay? Notice they're on the south side of the volcano, like I said. This is indicative of magma that deep on the south end of the volcano. This is not a summit occurrence. These earthquakes are not hitting down deep under the summit. They're hitting deep on the southern flank of the volcano. This could turn out to be like Mount St. Helens. I don't have any pertinent pictures of Mount Hood today, looking either east to west or looking up towards the volcano from the south. Now, I want to tell you where these earthquakes are hitting. Okay? I have done a lot of research this afternoon. A ton of research this afternoon. Like I said, they're hitting the south end of the volcano. This earthquake, the bigger earthquake to the south, that is right at Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift is a ski lift over here on the southern side of Mount Hood. Palmer Lift. This is where that big 3.0 magnitude earthquake hit. Okay? Palmer Lift. Government Camp. Government Camp is further down the slope to the south and west. Government Camp. Directly beneath the earthquakes there at the bottom, and further down that we can't see on this particular photograph. That, folks, is Hood Meadows. There is a government office facility at Hood Meadows. I believe it's probably from the USGS. There's a large parking lot and a building there, and I will get pictures for you tomorrow and show you that, just to give you an idea where these earthquakes are. Again, we may have an occurrence, if this continues, we may have an occurrence of an eruption from the side of the volcano. I am going to pursue this. I'm going to consult with geologists and seismologists. I'm going to consult with volcanologists and pursue this entire theory that I have. But the seismologists probably are already looking at this, considering where all these earthquakes are. This is different from 2 years ago when we had earthquakes hitting near the base of the volcano at Government Camp. Okay? they were hitting near the base of the volcano, 126 earthquakes. And at the time, the seismologists and volcanologists were scared that this volcano was going to erupt with 126 earthquakes within a 24-hour period. We don't have that right now. All we have now is over 26 earthquakes presently. USGS, in its infinite wisdom, has taken some earthquakes off. But right now we have at least 26 earthquakes still there. And that still is a bit concerning for everybody. Okay? So we have definitely an issue there at Mount Hood. It's not going to stop. Okay? Each and every one of these volcanoes is getting ready to erupt. All of them. Literally all of them. Folks, I've been doing a great deal of research. Okay? For example, this seismogram here. Okay? This came from Timberline. Timberline is just above government camp. Look at what you see here. Each one line here, every one line here, represents a 15-minute time period. You see the thicker lines here. That is indicative of magma coming into the volcanic chamber of this volcano. Sometimes lines are thicker than others. That's called magma pulse signals. When the line's thinner and gets thicker and then gets thinner again. Magma pulse signals. Incoming magma. The vertical lines here that you see are earthquakes. They're earthquakes. The smaller ones are tremors, but the larger ones are earthquakes. And not all of these earthquakes have been accounted for with that picture. Because again, the agency has a reason that they don't want to let everyone know exactly what's going on. They just don't. I've seen it happen before. Folks, this is the the seismogram from Palmer Lift. This is about halfway up the side of Mount Hood. Again, look at the thickness of these lines. Again, indicative of a large amount of magma coming into this magma chamber. Now, this was last night. This was last night. Look at the two earthquakes that were here. At least a 3.0 and then another 2.6. We know, because we've studied this long enough, that these seismographs have been turned down. This one's probably been turned down to the point that it's only reporting like 45% of real world. So if we double the size of these earthquakes, these vertical lines that you see here, this could easily be a 4.0 magnitude earthquake. And then another 3 on top of that. Down below all this magma coming into the magma chamber here, you see other horizontal lines with magma. Okay? Again, these thinner horizontal lines get thicker and get thinner again. We see incoming magma. You also see bigger blobs of magma, larger blobs of magma. That's typical. And in those blobs you see these vertical lines. Again, tremors caused by the magma coming into the magma chamber and fracturing rock. Because the magma that's coming in is under pressure, hitting the rock inside the volcanic chamber, fracturing the rock, causing earth movement. Otherwise known as tremors and earthquakes. That's what happened here at Mount Hood last night and during the day today. Okay, look at this magma here down at the bottom. This was earlier this afternoon. So magma is continuing to come in to this volcano, and we are going to be monitoring it to see what happens. I do not think it's over. I just don't think it's over. We shall see. At least I hope it would be over. I don't want to have a recurrence of 2 years ago and see the seismic activity pick up. I don't think that would be very good. Hurricane Heather's in here in the chat and says, please have a plan now. I'm going to say that again. Please write yourself an emergency plan now. It doesn't matter whether Mount Hood is going to erupt or not. You need to have a plan. Emergencies happen all the time. Depending on the veracity of the emergency, you need to have some kind of plan to follow. Given a very important emergency, something that could possibly cost our lives, you're going to forget many important things that you want to do before you have to evacuate your home. So write those things down now. Develop an emergency plan that you're going to follow. Whether it's an earthquake, whether it's a tornado, whether it's a hurricane that's going to come up the coast and hit your town, your community, your city, whether it be a wildfire, whether it be a flood. Floods are happening all the time, everywhere, here in the United States and all over the world. In Mexico, in Haiti. Last night, or the night before last, on Monday night, I told you that Haiti not only got hit with earthquakes, they got hit with rains, floods, heavy rains, sometimes up to 8 inches total, and flooding to beat the band. 9 people died in Haiti. Yes, Haiti is a third world country. Somewhat improved, but still a third world country. We don't have to be a third world country like the administration is trying to do to us. Please, folks, make sure you have an emergency plan for every kind of emergency that can possibly hit. Fires are happening in Canada. More fires are going to hit the United States in the coming weeks and months. It's fire season. Just within the last 3 or 4 days, we've had terrific storms and lightning that starts fires, either in homes or out in the bush, in the countryside. And those fires spread because the storm creates its own wind. And that wind carries the fires very long distances. Those fires could consume your home, your livelihood, and everything. What are you going to do then? Write a plan now so you have a plan to face those emergencies that come up in your life. And they will come. It's not just Mount Hood we're talking about. It really is not. Okay? I want to make it clear. Everybody needs to have a plan. When you write your plan, make sure you have plans for your animals that you're with. Do not leave them at home. In your emergency plan, discuss your animals, how you're going to grab their favorite bed, their toy, their food, their water, a leash their favorite blanket. All those things are necessary. Just like a child, a normal young boy or young girl. They're not always aware of everything going on around them. And when something interrupts their world, what do you think happens? They get upset, don't they? Because they don't understand. The same thing happens when we have a young animal, young or old animal. They may not understand everything. Sometimes I think they do. My 2 dogs are at least 14 to 15 years old now. They're very smart. They're very spry still. That means I must be doing something right. But folks, they rely on us for their survival, just like we rely on them for their unlimited love and their companionship and seeing them happy. They rely on us too. Don't forget your 4-legged creature family members. Please don't. I've seen it happen before, and I don't want to see it happen again. Those kids are our family members. Don't leave them alone. Planning for yourselves. Don't forget food. Don't forget your clothing and medicine and personal items. Don't forget your water. Write all these things down in your plan. And when you're thinking about food and water, what have you got in your pantry? Have you got at least 72 hours worth of food and water in your pantry? Do you have 6 months of food and water? What are you going to do with that? Take it with you. Make sure you have as much as you possibly can carry if you're going to have to evacuate your home. You might also think about tents. Yes, tents, ladies and gentlemen. You have to have a shelter. Just suppose you can't go to a shelter, so you have to make one yourself. Think about cook stoves, sleeping bags, and other niceties that you might want to have in case your world falls apart. Think about it. It can happen. Now, Mount Hood is not the only mountain that's having issues. Okay? Let me show you Mount St. Helens. This is West Mount St. Helens. This is West Mount St. Helens. The top of this, the first couple of inches, are last night. Look at the earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. Look at the earthquakes and tremors that happened today. That's tremendous activity at Mount St. Helens. Okay? Mount St. Helens is very active. Have you thought about Mount Rainier? Look at Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is even more active than St. Helens or Mount Hood. Look at the tremors and the earthquakes taking place here. This is just as active. And yet the agency does not tell us about these earthquakes. Yes, we have earthquakes and tremors hitting all over Mount Hood all day long. Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier that you can see here. Okay? It just is busy. East of Mount St. Helens is a small mountain. It's called Cedar Flats. This is a seismogram from Cedar Flats. Quite often, the USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network does not give us this seismogram. Look what we see here. again at the top of this. The top of this shows us magma coming into this magma chamber here. Okay, it starts off thin up here at the top. Let me enlarge this for you. That is 17:30 yesterday afternoon. 5:30 yesterday afternoon. It starts off thin and gets thicker, doesn't it? Then it gets thinner again. Then we go to the next line. The next line is 1800, 6 p.m. Again, the line starts off thinner and gets thicker, doesn't it? Magma's going through that magma chamber. Isn't it interesting? Then just after 21:30, which is 9:30 last night, this is probably 6 or 7 minutes after that, which makes it 9:36, 9:37. Look at that earthquake. If we just take this earthquake as it is, this is a 2.3, 2.4, maybe a 2.5 earthquake. It could be larger than that. Magma related. Out to the right of that earthquake, you see a triangle effect going on. That is a secondary wave of the earthquake. This makes me feel like this earthquake was a lot larger than it's showing here. That secondary wave is not typical of a 2.5 earthquake. It is, however, typical of a 3.0, 4.0 earthquake. The secondary wave on this lasts about 2 minutes before it dissipates into a body wave. So that was probably a 3.0, 4.0 earthquake. 9:36, 9:37 last night. The magma continued into this magma chamber, guys. Look at 12:30 this morning, 0030 hours, 12:30 this morning. The magma continues to pour into this volcano. Then we see the lines getting thinner and thinner. What do we know about that? Because the seismologists have turned this seismograph down. Okay? We see magma still coming into the magma chamber, but the lines are thinner. Okay? The lines are thinner. They've turned that thing down. Magma's still going into this magma chamber here. Okay? Then, just after 12:30 this afternoon, we have two small, what appear to be tremors. And then a couple other tremors after that. Then down here at the bottom of this is called a magma churn signal. When magma is very hot, superheated, it shows up as a magma churn signal on the seismogram, like 3,000 degrees hot Fahrenheit. Now let's look at this magma churn signal. We go down to the bottom of this. Okay? We have 1 line, 2 lines, 3. Then we have 4, 5, 6 lines high. Now there is another line down there, but they turn this seismograph off. Look over on the left-hand side here. We had just a partial line, just about a 1/4 inch long. Right after that, they turned it off. We had another line. This should be 7 lines high. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high, which means they turn this seismograph down to about 26% of real world. 26% of real world. The lines off to the right of that, those are steam lines. Even Cedar Flats is steaming. It's steaming, ladies and gentlemen. 6 to 7% of magma is water. 6 to 7% of magma is water. And when it heats up, what happens? The water turns to steam, doesn't it? And the steam is released from the magma inside the magma chamber. Either released from the summit, from the big huge lava rock at the top of the volcano, which is a plug of the volcano that has bunches of cracks in it. Releases the steam that way. Or it releases it into the soils around it. Regardless, the volcano releases its steam. Every one of the Cascade volcanoes are steaming. Every one of them. North to south, they're steaming. Mount Baker to the north, up near the Canadian border, is steaming. Glacier Peak, 40 miles south of that, is steaming. 40 miles south of that, we have Mount Rainier. Then we have Mount St. Helens. Off to the east, we have Cedar Flats, and off to the east from there, we have Mount Adams. Even Mount Adams is active. Mount Adams is active. Whether they want us to see it or not, it's active. It's rocking and rolling. It's steaming. Mount Hood is rocking and rolling, and it's steaming. Okay? I want to show you something. This, folks, is a spectrogram from Mount Rainier. What you're seeing here is heat coming from the magma melt inside the magma chamber. Heat rises, doesn't it? The bluish green lines that you see here rising, that is heat rising from the melt. I tried to pull this information from Mount Hood, but they shut it down. No picture available from Mount Hood. You would see the same thing at Mount Hood. Mount St. Helens. All of them. Okay? It's hot down there. That magma's superheated. You can see it. You can definitely see it. Now, folks, it's not just there. We have a lot of stuff going on around this country and around the world. It's happening. I want to show you something. I want to show you seismic activity that's occurring as we speak in South Carolina. Okay? This is Kings Mountain, Blacksburg, South Carolina. Let me reduce it in size so you can adequately see this. Look at that. The top line here is midnight. You can see the tremors. Down below that, on the red line, the tremors are increasing. Then look at 3:45. Actually, no. Let's look at over on the right-hand side. The right-hand side on the blue line. We see some earthquakes occurring, don't we? 3:44 a.m. this morning in South Carolina. We see seismic energy, tremors building up to earthquakes. Then it continues on the green line below that to the left. Then just about 4:49 a.m. this morning, What you're seeing here is a 3.3, 3.5 magnitude earthquake. At about 3:49 a.m. this morning. And you see several of these earthquakes. On the black line after that, that is 4 a.m. on the left-hand side. We go over to the right. At about 4:11, 4:12 a.m. this morning, we had another 3.0 earthquake in South Carolina. These are felt earthquakes, ladies and gentlemen. South Carolina on the eastern continental divide. Felt reports on the eastern continental divide in South Carolina. That's not all, folks. There's more. It continued this afternoon. Not as big, but the seismic activity continued. Tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes there in Blacksburg, South Carolina. It's continuing. I want to go up to Virginia. Accomack, Virginia. These are tremors. Tremors hitting all over the place in Virginia. As I've spoken before, the Atlantic plate is pushing on the North American plate and pushing it in a south-southwesterly direction. It continues, guys. It continues. We go over to Mineral, Virginia, a little bit south. Look at this, guys. Same thing applies. The top line is midnight last night. Just after 5:15 this morning, we start seeing tremors, don't we? Before that, it's very tame. Very tiny tremors. And microquakes before that. Okay? Then we climb down to 9:17 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden we have 2.9, 3.0 earthquakes. 2.5 minutes later, another earthquake happened. A minute and 45 seconds goes by and we have a minor 2.0 magnitude earthquake. Then, just over 32 minutes later, on the green line below that, we have a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Then we have minor tremors after that happen. This is Virginia. Let's go into North Carolina. Taylorsville, North Carolina. Look at this, guys. This is this afternoon. Taylorsville is just 45 minutes northeast of me. Look what we're seeing. Actually, northwest of me. I'm sorry, northwest of me. We see a lot of tremor activity, don't we? Except for that one in the center right. That was a 2.0 earthquake this afternoon in Taylorsville. Should I be concerned? I am monitoring it. I've seen my water bottles with water in them move around. I've seen water in my bathroom move in the sink and in the toilet. I'm not making it happen. The seismic activity in the area is. And this is continuing, guys, every day. Every day. So it's happening north to south, all up and down the entire continental divide. What else do you think is going to happen? Let's go over to the New Madrid Fault. What we have happening on the East Coast is pressure being put on our continental divide, pushing North America in a south-southwesterly direction. That same seismic energy is pushing on the New Madrid Fault, all up and down the fault. Let me take you over to Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas. This is the Ozark Folk Center. The Ozark Folk Center this morning. Okay? Over here on the green line here. Okay? This is 8:50, I want to say 8:58 this morning. 3.0 earthquake, guys. Ozark Folk Center in Arkansas. Then we drop down over here to 9 a.m. on the left-hand side. We go 4 minutes over. Just past 4 minutes, we have another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Look how many lines it occupies. This earthquake here on this black line in the left center here. This is like 5 different earthquakes, back to back to back, hammering. Okay? This earthquake lasted probably 15 or 20 seconds. Then we have a secondary wave up to the right of it, don't we? And after that happens, it goes down to a body wave. Very little activity at all. Then 5 minutes later, we have another similar quake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. And the same thing happens. 3 to 4 multiple earthquakes hit. Each of those lines represents an individual quake. Back to back to back. Then on the red line below that, it was not over. Okay? At about 9:19 a.m. this morning, we have another similar earthquake, but this happens to be a skosh higher, a 3.0. And there's only 3 lines here indicating 3 different earthquakes of the same magnitude hitting. It started off with tremors before that, and slight tremors after that in terms of a secondary wave. And that lasted maybe 15 seconds. Then after that we go 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes later, 5 minutes later. This time we have a full-blown 3.0, 3.2 magnitude earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small quakes. This time this is another small quake. This has multiple lines as well. It looks to be probably close to 6 or 7 different lines. 6 to 7 different earthquakes. And folks, look at the top and the bottom of it. This seems like this has been turned and topped off and bottomed off. This may have been a little bit larger quake than it even shows here. Okay? May have been larger. Look at the other tremors after that. Okay? Harmonic tremors. 1.4, 1.5 harmonic tremors here. Arkansas. Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? That's not the only place. Not the only place. I'm going to take you over to Marktree, Arkansas. Marktree, Arkansas is just southeast of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Look at this. I show you these almost every week. Okay? Why do you think I show it to you? Because, folks, this is important. People's lives hang in the balance here. People live in Marktree, Arkansas. This earthquake happened after about 1:55 a.m. this morning. The top and the bottom of that earthquake was cut off. That earthquake was obviously larger than what we're showing here. And this earthquake lasted 2 minutes. This lasted 2 minutes. Look at the other earthquakes here as well. Marktree, Arkansas. Look at the ones especially down here on the red line to the bottom left. Okay? 2 3.0 earthquakes. 2 3.0 earthquakes. It doesn't look like their tops and bottoms were cut off, so we can see how strong those earthquakes were. And we kind of see the secondary wave off to the right of that last one down there on the bottom left, on the red line. That secondary wave lasted nearly a minute. So that earthquake was probably right on by a 3.0. How about Marktree, Arkansas this afternoon? Do you think we had activity this afternoon? I think so. Look at this afternoon. It continued. Marktree, Arkansas, up and down the entire state, is getting hit every day. Every day. These are just not minor earthquakes. These are not just minor tremors. These are small earthquakes hitting here, and they're getting larger. They're getting larger by the day. Now I'm going to take you I'm going to take you west of Jonesboro to another town called Needham, N-E-E-D-H-A-M, Needham, Arkansas. Look here. Okay? Again, this is west of the New Madrid Fault. We're still getting minor tremors and earthquakes. Look at this. The minor tremor happened early this morning, didn't it? And it continued all throughout the day. On the green line in the center right, you see an earthquake building. It continues over on the left black line. At least a 2.2, 2.5 earthquake. And we see tremors up and down here, and over on the bottom left-hand side as well. It started over on the right on the blue line. It continued over here on the left. Start off on the blue line with tremors, continue over here on the left-hand side with an earthquake. This is west of the New Madrid fault. So we know the seismic energy is going way west. That's probably 150 miles west of the New Madrid. Okay? Let's go over to Truman, Arkansas, which is south of Marktree. Look at this. Again, the seismic energy is continuing south, isn't it? We still have tremors building up to earthquakes. In this case, on this blue line, these are 2.2, 2.3 magnitude earthquakes, but they're building up from tremors. These tremors start off over here on the blue line at 1:32 in the morning. Over 4 minutes, they build up to a minor earthquake. Look at all that tremor activity. Then over on the right side of that earthquake, look how long that activity continues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes later. 6 minutes later, actually. Look at the other tremors and earthquakes here. That earthquake on the red line on the right-hand side in the center, that's another 2.2, 2.5 magnitude earthquake. Starts off as like a 2.2 that lasts about 30 seconds. Then it slows down a little bit, dissipates, and then it picks up to be a 2.2, maybe a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. And then the tremors again. Okay, that's something we need to look at. Because if it's happening here, it's going to happen in other places, right? Oh yeah. Look at this. This is Truman, Arkansas this afternoon. Again on that red line here. This time that red line is about 1:26 p.m. this afternoon. Again, a 2.3, 2.5 earthquake. Then below that on the black line. This time that is 2:09 p.m. this afternoon. We have another earthquake. Then we have a long duration tremor after that on the green line. Okay? The seismic energy is continuing up and down the fault, guys. Up and down the fault. Then we continue south to Tyronza, Arkansas. Look at this. This is Tyronza, Arkansas this morning. It was fairly quiet for the first 4 hours of the morning. Then it got just a tad busy. Actually, 5 hours this morning was fairly quiet. Dead quiet. Just some minor tremors there. Very minor tremors. Then all of a sudden it kicked into a gear again. What do you see? Earthquakes and tremors all over this seismogram. On the blue line there, down towards the bottom. This is about 10:36, 10:37 this morning. A good 3.0 earthquake was all over there. Tyronza, Arkansas this morning. Tyronza, Arkansas this afternoon, the same thing happening. The exact same thing happening. Tremors and earthquakes all over. Earthquakes 2.0 to 3.0. The 3.0 is in the center left-hand side up here on the blue line. That's a pretty good sized quake. Considering just 2 years ago, all we were getting here up and down the entire fault was tremors. Nothing but 1.2, 1.5, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Not even a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0, 2.9 are considered to be minor earthquakes. All of a sudden, a year and a half ago, it starts picking up. And it picked up greatly to now that we're seeing full-blown earthquakes, upwards of 3.5 magnitude. And we've also seen a 4.0, 4.5 here on the New Madrid fault. It's kicking up, guys. The center of the United States is kicking up. Okay? I'm telling you. In Illinois this morning, Fairfield, Illinois, look at this. These are all tremors, except for one. The center top of this seismogram. That, folks, is a 2.3 magnitude earthquake. Just after 1:08, 1:09 a.m. this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1:08 this morning. Okay? The rest of these are all tremors. Fairfield, Illinois is getting smacked around by tremors. It's getting larger there as well. This is this afternoon. Again, we have a bunch of tremors, except on the bottom red line to the right, in the center right. Again, we have at least a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. In Illinois. Illinois, guys. How about New Harmony, Indiana? Look at this. Talk about tremors, look at this. All kinds of tremors. No, some of this information here is artifact. Where you see a shortened line there, seemingly a lot of tremor activity. Guess what? That's false. That's false. But you still see tremor activity here. Those longer green or colored lines there are false information. But the other lines are not. Where you see tremors kicking up, that's actual what's happened. Down on the bottom blue line, on the right-hand side, you see a good tremor activity there. Probably 1.5, 1.6 magnitude tremor. We see those happening all around the United States, don't we? Oh, absolutely. New Harmony, Indiana this afternoon. Not all of this is artifact. A great deal of this information here is real. These are real tremors. These are real tremors here. Constant tremors. Constant tremors, guys. The seismic activity is building up here in Indiana. Okay? Up and down the entire fault line, it's building up. Missouri. Barker Cemetery in Missouri. This kind of activity is what we were seeing last year. last year. Just a couple months ago, we had not just tremors and microquakes, we were having more full-blown earthquakes. 2.5s, 3.0s, 3.5 earthquakes here in Barker Cemetery. We have maybe one full-blown earthquake here in the center black line here. Just after 8:05 this morning. That, folks, is a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. The rest of these are all tremors. Barker Cemetery, guys. Even Barker Cemetery, it's moving. It's moving all over the place. The same thing happened this afternoon there. Now, I want to take you over to Portageville, Missouri. Portageville, Missouri, look at this. It was quiet, dead quiet early this morning. Just after 4:30 a.m. this morning, all heck started breaking loose. Look at all this. After 4:30 this morning, it started going crazy for 2 hours. We have anywhere from 2.5 magnitude earthquakes on up to 3.5 magnitude earthquakes here in Portageville, Missouri. This is the center of the New Madrid Fault. The center of the New Madrid Fault. You folks that live over here in the New Madrid Fault area, I'm telling you guys, you need to know what's going on. You need to keep an idea or an eye out for what is happening, guys, because this earthquake activity is moving. It's moving a great deal. The center of the New Madrid Fault is kicking up. We're soon going to see a large earthquake, a 5.0 earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault. I'm just saying, guys, it's going to happen. St. John's, Missouri, look at this. This is this afternoon. We had minor tremors all afternoon long until this happened here. Just after 4:16 this afternoon. Folks, this is a 3.0 earthquake. This lasted about 40 seconds. This lasted about 40 seconds. Look at this. Look at all those lines. St. John's Bayou got smacked around tonight. Or this afternoon, I should say. That's a good sized earthquake. And right before that hit over here on the right hand side, on the black line. This is 4:14 this afternoon on the black line. So 2 minutes later, 2.5 minutes later, we had a 3.5 magnitude earthquake hit. I verified it. This is what's going on, guys. This is what's going on. I want to take you back to the East Coast for a minute. This is Savannah, Georgia, this morning. Savannah, Georgia this morning. Everything was pretty quiet, just minor tremors until 6 about 6:20 a.m. this morning. 3.0 earthquakes. 2 of them. 2 of them. Savannah, Georgia. Did not expect that, did we? No, not at all. Folks, we're getting them all over the place. We're literally getting these earthquakes everywhere. Three years ago, before I got here, 3 years ago before I got here, just northwest of me in Sparta, North Carolina, just northwest of where I live now in Sparta, North Carolina. I visited there last year, or no, it wasn't last year, it was the year before that, right after I got here, a couple months after I got here. Took a trip up to Sparta. Guess what, guys? Sparta got hit with a 5.1 earthquake 3 years ago. 3 years ago this August. We've seen seismicity building. We've seen seismicity building. It still is building. What are we doing about it? Are we worrying about it? Are we preparing for it? This isn't going to stop. All of you were wondering 2 and 3 years ago, what's going on with the new Madrid? I'm showing you what is happening right now, today, this afternoon, on the new Madrid fault. Guys, I can't get any more serious about that than this. It's moving. What are we doing about it? Let me take you over to Sumter, South Carolina. You may have heard in the news media yesterday that Elgin and Lugoff, South Carolina, were getting hit with minor quakes. They were saying 2.0 earthquakes, 2.2, 2.6. Look what we have just east of there. Folks, those were not 2.6 earthquakes. Those were felt earthquakes. Nobody's going to feel a 2.6 minor quake. No, they're going to feel a 3.0, a 3.5. Cents of people are going to feel 3. 3.5, everybody's going to feel the ground move. Guess what we're having right here, right now, today? This morning in Sumter, South Carolina. Look at these earthquakes here. Several of these were 3.0. The green one in the center right here is a 3.4, a felt earthquake. And that black one to the left of there could also been a 3.4, 3.5 earthquake as well. The blue one beneath the green one. Okay? That was 8:30, I want to say 8:40 a.m. this morning. Looks to me about a 3.4, 3.5 quake. And then look how the seismic activity acted after that. Okay? That larger activity lasted for about 10 seconds. Then it went all over the place. mostly stayed in the minor earthquake range, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. But that secondary wave lasted 2.5 minutes. Then a body wave came, and that lasted for another 2 minutes. That was a pretty good sized earthquake. And it may have even been larger than that. Okay? This is Sumter, South Carolina, just east of Elgin and Lugoff. There is no way that those earthquakes were minor quakes in Lugoff or Elgin, South Carolina. This energy is building. The Atlantic Fault is pushing on the North American Fault, causing this very same activity up and down the entire fault line. I've shown you from Virginia to Georgia. Virginia to Georgia. In the past week, we've shown you earthquakes and tremors hitting up in northeastern Canada. Again, the Atlantic Fault pushing on the North American Fault, Canada and the United States. It's moving, guys. It's moving, and all of us need to be aware of it. This is not going to stop. This is really not going to stop. What do I need to do to show you that everybody needs to make sure that they are prepared? Everybody needs to make sure that you're prepared. What is it going to take? Is it going to take someone getting hurt or killed? Is it going to take the earth coming apart and a great big huge, and I'm talking huge, great big huge gully opening up? A huge gully opening up, guys. Is that what it's going to take? Is a great big huge gully opening up in the center of the earth here? Oh my gosh. We're having an earthquake. Oh my gosh, a fissure's opened up here. What's happening? What's happening? It's all happening, guys. It's all happening. Are we ready for it? Are we ready? And are we going to survive this? That's what I'm asking. It's go time, guys. It's go time. I've been talking about preparedness for a very long time. It's go time. There's something else that's going on in Canada. Okay? Smoke. Smoke is coming down out of Canada. Some of that smoke is coming down from northwestern Canada. British Columbia and Alberta are on fire. This is a map of North Carolina. The man here pictured up on the top left, this man is an associate that I met about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit less than 2 years ago. His name is Brad Panovich. He's from WCNC television in Charlotte. This is one of the most widespread poor air quality days that he has ever seen in the Carolinas for tomorrow. Guess what? The air quality today was not good. Tomorrow it's going to be worse. Tomorrow the air quality is going to be worse. Guess what, guys? This is what New York was today. This is a red alert air quality day in New York from smoke from Canada. The jet stream pulling smoke down out of Canada. All up and down the east coast of the United States, and even some of the rest of the United States is going to see this. You're going to see this because the air is coming down south. It's penetrated us to the south, and it's going to continue. Like I said, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada is burning. Last night I got word that downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada was on fire. One of the major cities in Canada on fire. Most of those fires were started by illegal burns, arson fires, because someone thought that they could just get away with it. Now Edmonton, Alberta, Canada is on fire. Not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. Now, folks, there's something else I want to talk about tonight. Right here. Monday was yesterday was June 6th. D-Day. D-Day, June 6, 1944. 160,000 Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy. 50 miles of heavily fortified coastline. 9,000 Allied soldiers were killed or wounded on the beaches of Normandy. Their sacrifice gave way to 100,000 soldiers who marched across Europe to defeat Hitler. 100,000 soldiers marched across Europe to defeat Hitler. June 6th, 1944. D-Day. Our soldiers, United States and our allies. Thank you, Britain. Thank you so much. Folks, it was not a good day. I've seen video. Most of us have seen this video. Every day I pay tribute to our military forces, not just in the United States, but our allies that are fighting war across the world. Fighting war across the world. Yet I'm not supposed to talk about it. UKR. I'm not supposed to talk about it at all. Good or bad. But that's not the only place we're fighting war. It's literally all over the world. Folks, we need to support our soldiers. We need to love the people. We need to love each other and help each other. Brothers and sisters, that's why I am here. I'm here to give a message to you. I'm here to give you information about emergencies and disasters that are happening around the world and here in the United States. We haven't had any major earthquakes here around the world today. We happen to have had a couple 5.0s, but not much bigger than that. A 5.6 hit in Indonesia today. The earthquakes are getting larger. Now, I forgot to get a picture of this, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Today we had an M class 4. An M class 4, that's a moderately classed CME. Lift off from the sun's southwestern side. The sunspot is fairly widespread. The size of about 50 Earths. And that is going across the face of the sun. As we orbit the sun, that same sunspot will be directly in front of the Earth for probably the next 2 to 3 days. We may see larger solar flares come from that sunspot. I think it was sunspot 3527. Folks, we need to be aware of our surroundings. The last few days here in North Carolina were not good. Heat-wise, smoke-wise, and not just that. Ultraviolet light bad days, where people were being encouraged to stay indoors as much as they could and to reduce their exposure to ultraviolet light. Guys, be aware of your surroundings. Go over to spaceweather.com. Pay attention to NOAA alerts. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration puts out alerts every day, whether it's for bad weather or bad air. Pay attention to your local forecasters. They are also telling you about it. We need to know what's going on around us. We need to save each other's lives. We need to prepare. How many of you have an emergency preparedness plan? How many of you have an emergency preparedness plan or an emergency preparedness kit or water that you have saved? Water that you put up in storage. How many of you have that? If you don't have it, you need to get it, and get it immediately. Get it immediately, if not sooner. The things that I've been talking to you tonight about, this is just the beginning. This has been going on for a long time. We've had major earthquakes around the world. We've been talking to you this past week about the Cascade megathrust earthquake that's going to be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. And I'm not done telling you about it. It's going to be a big deal. I want everybody to be ready. I'm hoping that you're paying attention. Please, folks, tell everybody that you know about this program. Share it far and wide. Your family and extended family, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, the people you associate with on social media, and also the people that you work with. Tell everybody about this quake that's been happening all across the eastern United States, from the New Madrid all the way to the coast on the East Coast. Tell them about the smoke. It's not good. You need to be wearing a scarf or something around your face so you're not breathing in the smoke particulates. You might also want to have a pair of goggles. I'm going to break out the goggles tomorrow morning because I have to go out. Yes, I have several pair of goggles here. Tomorrow's not going to be a good day air-wise here in North Carolina. If you're here, know what you're going to have to do. If you are in New York, I showed you a picture of that couple walking down beside the Hudson River. They should have been wearing something across their faces, around their heads today. Protect your eyes and protect your nose and protect your mouth. Be careful with what you do and how much you do. Let's keep an eye on the volcanoes over in the west. As things progress, I'll keep you up to date. Like I said, if anything else happens tonight, I'll be back on the air to tell you about it. Hopefully nothing. But if it does happen, I'll be coming back up in the air and telling you about it. And folks, that's the way it is. Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. For Emergency Management Associates, my name is Ron Tyler. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a pleasure to have you as my friends and associates and family. I value every one of you, or I wouldn't be here. I want to share something with you that I found earlier today. Okay? This comes from Proverbs, the 4th chapter. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of your life shall be many. Again, what is the Lord telling us here? What is the Lord telling us? He's willing to help us if we do something. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened. And when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of wicked. Go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it and pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as a shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Unto the perfect day. Brothers and sisters, we're not in a perfect day. Not by a long shot. But our good works, our good ways, are like the city on a hill that can't be hid. Our light shineth for a better day. May God bless us to that end. We need to keep the commandments. We need to keep moving. We need to help each other. We need to help as many of our friends and our relatives get where they want to go as well. We need to be leading. We need to teach other people to prepare. May God bless us to that end. May God be with you until we meet again. I care, guys. I care about you a lot. Have a good night, guys, and an even better tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow, if not sooner. God be with you till we meet again. Good night, everybody. I love you.